the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Welcome to The Perspective.
He was in the beginning with God.
You're watching The Perspective with Mike Sherbino.
Hey friends, welcome back to The Perspective. We are so grateful that you are here joining us again this week. My name is Mike Gordon, and I'm here helping out Mike Sherbino. But really, we're hanging out together, and we don't take that for granted. Now, today's episode, we have some really cool things in store. We have another teaching similar to the one we did recently, where on the surface level, it seems obvious, but we're going to look at creation and look at the idea that we forget sometimes that creation and what we see all around us actually reveals the glory of God. I'm not sure about you, but for me, I forget that or sometimes completely miss it. On top of that, we have amazing guests today. We have the band JAREN. These are two amazing sisters who do incredible music, but they love Jesus. We have Jaren and Jade. And listen, you are going to be so inspired, not only by the music they do, but by the ministry they do. So right now, let's get a little taste of who they are by checking out their new music video.
That you'll never run to Jesus, cause you've been broke too many times. If hurt people, then you'll find them underneath the steeple. If you're looking for a savior and the ones he came to save are all gonna let you down. I hate that we hurt you. I know that Jesus hates it too, but you have to know we're all the wreck. Don't look at eyes, just look at him. I say stuff I regret, been the best at all the deadly sins. If you want imperfect, I'm far from it. Don't look at me, just look at him.
So here on The Perspective, we have the band JAREN. Thank you so much for being a part of our show today.
Hi. Thank
Hi.
you so much for
There we
having
go.
us. So good to see you, Mike.
There we go. Good to see you. I've known you two for a couple years. Now, before we start, there's obviously two of you on screen. Let the viewers know who is who.
I'm Jade, and I'm Jaren.
There we go. And they are the band JAREN. Now, let's do a little get to know one another type conversation, okay? I'm going to ask a few questions and you guys can answer. Sound good?
Yeah. Sounds good.
We're good. We'll see where it goes, okay? Just to get people to know who you are. So a very simple question to start off. Who is the oldest?
I am shorter, but I am older.
Oh, that probably confuses people. They probably assume you're younger. Okay,
Yeah.
you're the oldest.
I am the oldest, yes, by 18 months, a year and a half.
Celebrate it. Okay, this one's already controversial, okay? I loved your parents. I know your parents. Who is your parents' favorite daughter? Jay.
I wouldn't say her, but I wouldn't say me. No, they always tell us that we're both equally the favorite. She is the baby of the family, so she definitely gets baby treatment, but I do get eldest treatment. So I think it's different kinds of love in that way.
That's a great, honest answer. You know, I believe you. I believe it. Okay, another get to know you question. Okay, obviously you two do music. What instruments do you play?
For the band, I mostly play the electric violin and the electric bass, but sometimes I do play a little bit of the tambourine. And sometimes I do play a little bit of the piano.
Did you take
Yes, it
did you take Camerine lessons?
from my grandma.
I love it.
Grandma played in church. Yeah,
Oh.
she's actually pretty good. She taught me.
It's not an easy instrument, honestly.
I
So
believe
yeah,
it.
we throw her the tambo every once in a while. She plays those, and then for the band, I'm mainly on electric guitar. I play acoustic, obviously as well, keys, and then I can play. I don't really play on stage, but I can play viola. I grew up playing in orchestra with her. She was always way better than me, and made viola jokes all the time. But it's a beautiful instrument, and I love it so much. But those are the main instruments. We also play, like I could play bass and ukulele if needed, but we like to have fun with lots of different instruments.
I love it. And you two are very talented at what you do. Who is the funniest sibling? Who's funnier out of you two?
Jade. She's always like the witty, sarcastic one, and I'm always like the very serious one, but also joyful.
She's joyful.
She's
She'll
just more
do
witty.
funny things, but it's not out of like a humor tactic. It's just like she's doing something.
People laugh at me, but I don't mean for them to laugh at me. She's actually like quick with it sometimes.
I will say you two are so entertaining to be around. Like it is. Like it's humor, it's sarcasm, it's
Yeah.
laughter. You two are just real people. Now, you two are not just siblings. You are the band Jaren. Can you let our viewers know, how did that come about? How did you go from these girls in Michigan to now in the Nashville area doing music? Tell us about your journey.
Yeah, so we grew up in a small town called Flushing, Michigan, right next to Flint, Michigan, which had the water crisis. That's how people know it. But we grew up together, grew up in a Christian home and always did music. Like we could read music before we could read English. We like to say that because our mom started us on the piano when we were 5. And then I picked up my guitar when I was 6. She picked up the violin when she was 6, and we just were more naturally gifted in music than we were in other things like sports and dance. But we still did sports and dance and all that good stuff too. But we I moved to Tennessee like right after COVID. I was 17 years old. I was freshly graduated and wanted to pursue music, felt the Lord very much calling me to pursue music. But I didn't ask God specifically what that looked like in his will and his plan, so I kinda did my own thing. I kinda went into the secular world first, wanting to spread the light of Christ in a dark industry, and that just went terribly, and God was like, "Nah, this is not what I have for you. Listen to my voice, and I will show you the way." And, yeah, so I switched into Christian music, and at the management team at the time was like, "What if you had a band? What if it was all girls?" I was like, "That would be amazing if you could find these girls that love Jesus and want to tour." It's not easy to find those type of women around here, even in Nashville. But we found a few girls, and then I asked Jade to join the band, and she was very reluctant at first.
I definitely said no at first because I had my own plan that I was following, not the Lord's plan. So that's why I'm doing it now. But it was my own plan. And my sister and I, we always played together growing up. We'd like weave in and out of doing street performance and whatnot. But I just played classical violin. I was very dedicated to that. And I had determined at the age of 12 that I was going to become a professional solo classical violinist. And so with that comes a lot of practice hours, like 4 hours of practicing every day, and on this trajectory to hopefully go to Juilliard and all of the fun things. And so when she asked me that, I was like, absolutely not, because I've been working and I've been busting my butt to try and make it as a solo classical violinist. But then I really took the time to pray about it and ask the Lord what his will and what his plan was for my life. And I went to the word so I could really, because that's where I really feel the Lord speaks to me the most is through the Bible. And so I went there and I flipped through some pages and I landed on a passage on the barren fig tree, which is in Luke chapter 13. And it basically just speaks on this tree, and the man wants to cut it down immediately. But the master's like, wait a minute, don't cut it down just yet. Let it grow for the next year and we'll see what happens. And if there's no fruit, then you can cut it down. But if there is fruit, then let it continue to flourish and grow. So I was like, all right, Lord, I'll do this band for the next year. We'll see what happens, see what the fruit's like. And the fruit's been great. So I've been a part of it ever since, and I've really been enjoying it. And I'm really thankful to the Lord because he really saved me from myself. Because back in the classical violin era that I was in, I was definitely motivated by competition and pride to just be the best at my craft, better than everybody else. But now I get to use the violin to glorify the Lord. So I'm really thankful.
I love that, and you are grateful. And we're gonna head over to commercial, but we will be right back with the band Jaren to hear more about their journey, the meaning behind their name, and the ministry behind their music. So come back, and we'll continue on with the band Jaren.
You know, it takes a team to make this program happen. People behind the scenes, people that are on camera. And today, of course, Mike Gordon is with us. I love how he interviews people. I love how he shares God's word. And later on in the program, he's going to be teaching from God's word as well. Wherever Mike goes, he commands a great audience, and God is using him to speak life and hope into so many people's lives, just as I know he's doing that today here on The Perspective.
So we are back with the band Jaren. We just learned a little bit about Jaren and Jade and a little bit about their journey into the music world. Now, the name is the band Jaren. Can you share a little bit about maybe the meaning behind that and what that represents?
Yes, I love to explain this because it seems a little awkward at first because it's the two of us, but it's my name. So why is it my name? It actually goes far beyond myself. In Hebrew, Jaren means to sing out in praise. It's a cry of rejoicing, which is exactly what we want to do as a band and just personally every single day of our lives. And so that's why we chose it specifically for the band. And it's really prophetic too, because my parents had no clue that was the meaning behind the name. They thought they just made up a cool name. My dad's name was Joel, and his bestie at the time was Aaron. So they're like, "Bam, Jaren, there you go." But little did they know it was God that gave them that name.
That's incredible. I had no idea. I actually had no idea. Good for them. And good for you because that has such cool significance now, doing the band and being out there and doing ministry and using that. Now, as you're going through the whole life of going from young kids playing music in Michigan to now being in Nashville doing ministry and doing music that way, were there some bands or some artists along the way that really inspired you or influenced your style of music?
I know at the very beginning when we started forming this all girl band in particular, we had a lot of people telling us about Barlow Girl and Super Chick. And so we really looked into them. And my sister specifically studied a lot of their live performances. And we definitely have taken a lot of inspiration from them just because they are all girls that rock out for the Lord. So we've had a lot of fun there. For King Country, they're another like sibling duo. So we love them and the music that they put out is very different and fresh and fun. So those are just a couple. Do you have any others?
Growing up, like I was in a bunch of rock bands when I was like a baby child. And so we would play like in these high school rock bands and we played a lot of like Paramore, My Chemical Romance, and they're just so just musically just like intense and we love that. And so we kind of draw from that a little bit but then use it for the glory of Jesus.
Wow, that's so cool. That's actually really incredible. And you see it with your style because you do have a unique style in like a really cool way. You can see the blend. That's so true. Now, when it comes to your music, here's a very simple question. What is the main goal behind it? What is your mission behind why you go into studios and write songs and go on stage and share them to other people? What's the mission behind what you are doing?
We like to say that our music serves as a segue for ministry, and that's basically the whole reason why we do music. Definitely the whole reason why we're doing this band is to just share the gospel, get the good news out there. And if we've got to do music using the gifts and talents that the Lord has given us to be able to really hook and reel some people in that might have not have wanted to just listen to us talk about Jesus, just straightforward, but rather listen to music and then get to it eventually, then we're very happy to do it. And so that's what the heart of our music is just being able to use it as a segue to share the gospel.
Yeah, I love that, and I will say with you 2 in the band, you are more than just musicians. You know, you are doing ministry, and it's so apparent, from what you do on stage to when you step off stage. I've seen you pray for young people, I've seen you interact with them. I see your social media, like, almost every single day, you're sharing Bible verses and scriptures. You are doing incredible things that are reaching many, many people, many, many different generations, but Generation Z or Generation Z for us Canadians, that's a generation that you are really impacting. When you look at
Yeah.
that demographic and that age group, what excites you about what's happening in their lives today?
Yeah, I am so stoked because obviously we are in Gen Z. I'm 22 and Jade's 20 years old now. But we are just seeing pretty much like a mass returning to the Lord. And I wouldn't call it like a revival yet, but it's getting close. And we just want to encourage people and like ultimately like Jade was saying our heart is to use our music to bring wandering hearts to the Lord, whether it's like they grew up in church but they don't have a true like heart love relationship. It's more just in their heads and just like getting that relationship with God from their heads into their hearts and just like bringing the wandering hearts back to Christ to truly just burn for Jesus, but then also to encourage them to to commission them to go out and do what they're called to do, which ultimately we are all called to be evangelists and to fulfill the Great Commission, whether you're in music, whether you're hosting a TV show, whether you're a teacher or a plumber, or I don't know, you're doing anything. We're all called to bring people to Jesus. And I feel like Gen Z just is starting to understand that. And they have like a deep hunger that I haven't seen maybe so much before in the past just growing up. It's just like this fire is just starting to like the flame is being fanned is what I'm trying to
Mhm.
say.
No, I love that. And I mean, Jesus tells us to go into the world and preach the gospel to all creation, to go and make disciples. And for myself, I spent years as a young adult pastor. And it seems like people in that demographic, they're looking for a purpose. So I love what you shared. Like, we are all evangelists. And whether it's music, TV, whether it's teaching, whether it's, you're in a business, whatever it is, I think young adults, Generation Z, they want purpose. And what better way to connect purpose with Jesus and why we are created and how God entrusted us with that good news. Wow, that's so cool. I love what you're doing. On a little takeaway, if anyone's watching the show and discovering the band Jaren for the very first time, how can we support you? How can we follow you? How can we see and connect with what you are doing?
You can find us on any platform, any streaming platform at the band Jaren. And Jaren is spelled like Karen with a J. And so any streaming platform, any social media platform, you'll find us there making some fun videos, some goofy videos. So yeah, anywhere at the band Jaren.
I love that. It's so good. And also, like, if you're listening, yeah, actually follow them. Listen to their music. To if you don't understand how this whole industry works, like we need people like you to point other people to this band, the band Jaren, so they can continue to do this ministry and reach Generation Z like they are doing. As we have 1 minute to go, how can we pray for you as we wrap up this whole interview?
Yeah, if you could just be praying for our hearts and just the purity of our hearts, I think that's most important. And like you keep saying the word industry, which we don't like love that word because it's the industry, but it's true. We are in an industry and it's so easy to get corrupted by fame and lights and it's numbers, especially because that's what people kind of look at us with that lens a lot of the time in the industry. So just prayers for our purity of heart and ultimately that the Lord's will is done at every single show and that we just want to see people saved, delivered, set free, set on fire and just like yeah, prayers for us to for God's will to happen and to reveal to us what's the best way to do that at every show.
We love that. So, Jaren and Jade, the band Jaren, thank you so much for being a part of the show. And for you who are watching, number one, I want you to pray for them. They need it. They are doing ministry in an industry which is not always easy. But also, here you are. And maybe you need prayer as you're watching today. I want to remind you we have a 24-hour prayer line that you can call. The number's at the bottom of the screen. And if you need prayer for anything, I encourage you to pick up the phone and give us a call. In the meantime, stay tuned and we will be back with a unique Bible teaching.
Hey, welcome to The Perspective. Mike Sherbino here. We're glad you're with us.
It's all right here. Watch when you want, where you want.
Well, welcome to The Perspective. I'm Lori.
Real stories, honest questions, a fresh perspective, right where you are.
Today, take time to relish in
The Perspective. Follow, like, share. You're part of the mission.
So today's teaching is actually coming from Psalms 19. So let me read it for you and then we will unpack it a little bit. And then even more and better than that, I'm going to give you a little homework, okay? But you got to listen. You got to stay tuned. Don't leave. Homework scares people, but don't leave us, okay? It will be good homework, I promise. So here's what it says. I'll read it off my screen here. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day, they pour forth speech. Night after night, they reveal his knowledge. They have no speech. They use no words. No sound is heard from them. Yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the end of the world. I love how that starts. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. You know, God created all of this, right? We know that because when we open up the Bible, the very first sentence in Genesis, God created the heavens with a little s there and the earth. God created it all. The heavens refers to the universe. It's not talking about where God dwells. It's talking about the universe, the atmosphere, the planets, the moon, the stars. God created all of that. And then he created this thing called earth, which you and I live on. And that is not by accident. And once in a while, I'm not sure about you, but I get a little too busy in life. And I drive through creation, I walk through creation, I go through my day-to-day life, and I think I forget sometimes that this is actually the work of God's hands. It reveals who he is. It reveals his glory. It reveals his beauty. And sometimes when we pause and we take a look of the creation that God put around us, sometimes we have a moment where we can reflect and realize, wow, this is pretty incredible. I know when I was a kid growing up in Toronto, my grandma, she had a cottage north of Toronto by the lake. So when I was young, maybe 8 years old, on a Friday night after my parents were home from work, we would drive up north towards Muskoka. And it was, good driving, going through the city, seeing tons of cars. But then the cars start to loosen up and less cars on the road. And then all of a sudden you're on dirt roads and in the country and you're seeing the sun starting to set. And when we would turn down our cottage road called Plum Point Road, I remember it was a dirt road for maybe a half a kilometer. And then eventually we start seeing cottages. Now I would look out the window, and in between the cottages, as we're driving, I would get a little glimpse of the lake. One cottage after another. I remember as an 8-year-old just being in awe of God's creation. And when we would finally pull up to the cottage, I would get out of the car and go straight to the lake and just stand there and go, wow, God created this? Now, maybe for you, it's not a lake. Maybe it's when you go out in nature and see the trees. God created that. Maybe it's when you go to the ocean and you see how big this body of water is, and maybe you see the sun setting on it. But when you're by the ocean, you go, wow, this reveals the glory of God. How incredible is that? Maybe it's the mountains. Have you ever been through the Rockies? Or some all over the world there's mountains, but the Rockies, oh my goodness. I still remember the first time seeing them. It blew my mind. I was literally in awe. God created that on purpose. Remember another time for me, I was in the desert. I was speaking, doing ministry in the Middle East, and just seeing the desert and how the sand just went on and on and on with wild camels running all over the place. Just that moment saying, wow, God created that. And it's also a reminder that this world is so big, but every part of it, every square inch of it is on purpose. It reveals Him. So here's your homework, okay? Rather than going through the day-to-day life and maybe missing all this amazing thing God has put around us, this world, what if you hit pause? What if this weekend or over the next couple of days, you go into creation, you go into nature, you take a drive to the lake, you go to the ocean, depending on where you are, go check out the mountains, or maybe you just go and watch the sun set. And I want you to look, I want you to pause, I want you to reflect on what you are seeing. And don't take that for granted, but sit there and be reminded this is the work and the creation of God. And these beautiful things that we see reveal His glory and reveals His hands at work, not only in this world, but also in our lives. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode on The Perspective. The band Jaren, wow, they are doing music, but they are also doing ministry. And I hope that inspires you because we are all evangelists in some way, shape, or form where God placed you in this world. As for this world, we talked about that in the devotion. What was your homework again? I want you to go out into creation, go to the lake, go on a walk in nature, go look at the sunset and sit down and be reminded of the glory of God. He created all of this and He created you because He loved you so much. And we love you too. So listen, we want to see you back with us again. But in this moment, thank you for being with us.